Welcome to the Grit and Grace podcast, where real conversations meet real growth. This is the place where we lean into life's challenges with grit and rise above them with grace. Whether you're here for encouragement, practical tools, or a reminder that you're not walking this journey alone, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. I'm Bethany Starks.
I'm Christy Dutton.
And believe it or not, this is our last podcast for 2025.
It is.
And so first, let's talk. We'll talk a little bit about. We always kind of recap on what we've been doing.
A lot.
And so that's actually where this podcast was born on our last trip. So we've traveled the last 2 weeks. We did Deca Worlds, which we brought you all podcasts about in Fort Lauderdale, and then we were only home for 2 days to work. And this was our only non-fitness trip for 2025. And we just got back from Las Vegas. We went to a longevity and wellness conference, and it was really great. We learned a lot and some things we're going to bring back here to Grace Wellness and Breaking Barriers. And then, but we did learn, what did we learn in Las Vegas?
What did we learn? A lot.
Yeah. Well, what did we learn?
She got to see my love of supplements.
Yes.
Because it was a health and longevity. It is like things that I just absorb through podcasts and just enjoy learning more about what can you do to optimize your body.
Yeah, like I saw Christy get giddy over like multiple booths that are like supplements that she has followed or loved.
So good.
And then she's followed Ben Greenfield for years, and he was one of the speakers. So we went to his conference, and then the next day we just walked up to a booth, and she just happened to be standing right next to him,
guys. Right next to him.
Yeah,
that was.
And she was like,
"Best moment, best moment." I was excited.
We looked like we were like 18-year-olds because we were at this booth, and I just grabbed the freebie, and I'm like on, and then Christy's like.
Oh.
And then I went up to him and said, "Hey, can we get your picture?" She is your biggest fan. We were so dumb.
Yep. I didn't care. He put his arm around me and took his picture while he's chewing his beet chew.
His beet chew. He was less than enthused, I think.
Thank you, Ben Greenfield, for doing that for me.
But one thing we learned is, listen, Las Vegas is a God-forsaken city, in my opinion.
I feel like it's still coming out of me.
Yes,
I was allergic to it.
Christy was allergic to Las Vegas. We, of course, like we've talked about previously, our first order of business was to find an area to run, and we did that. We found a good little loop. We ran 3 to 4 miles, and then like 5 to 6 miles, and then 6 to 7 miles each day we built. And we did it by 6 a.m. every morning. We were out there. Perfect. And it was great.
It was great. I followed Bethany, and I chased her because she runs 2 minutes faster than me. No, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5. Not 90 seconds faster per mile.
90 seconds.
And so what we did is it was a perfect loop, because if you've been to Las Vegas, there's lots of stairs that go over roads, so you're not stopping traffic. And we found this perfect loop by the Sphere and everything, and it was safe. Not a lot of people on the road at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And she would run, maybe 200 yards ahead of me?
Probably.
Maybe. And she'd come back to me, and she wouldn't speak to me. She did learn that. It's that nonverbal thing.
We know how the other person works. So we
and then she would just go again.
And then I would just
go.
I'm
just running consistently, and she's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
It was just for safety to stay together.
It was great.
So, but after our third run, like our long run, Christy ran 6, I ran 7. And I'm telling you, like literally when we got in the elevator, she started sneezing. And like
never
sneezed for 48 hours.
Oh, it was horrible. I don't have allergies. I rarely sneeze. I don't have a runny nose ever.
Yeah.
And it was just all inside of me.
But we were not used to cigarette smoke. And it was, but it was good. It was fun.
It was
and we
good.
really, aside from the Health and Longevity Conference, we really did reflect on the year.
Did, a lot.
And then we set some goals for next year, which we're going to talk about. And so that's kind of where this podcast was born, because, reflection is so important. And so as we close this year, we just want to acknowledge that this season wasn't about perfection. We say that all the time, for various things, whether it's health or wellness. But sometimes it's just about showing up and learning and stretching. Sometimes for you, it might just be about surviving. But something that is important to me, we've done this as a family, and then Christy and I kind of did it on this trip. But, you know, in the Old Testament, the children of Israel, when they're going through the desert in that season, they go back and they set up stones of remembrance. And they call them Ebenezer stones. And those are the stones where they remind themselves and their kids and their family of when the Lord has been faithful. And so in our life, we've always used that analogy to go back, and because, you know, maybe you're in a season that's like a dry season, that's a hard season, and it's faith building when you go back and you remind yourself, do you remember in that season that the Lord provided for us, or the Lord brought us through that season? And so that's kind of what we're going to do today at a pretty high level. We challenge you to do that in December. You know, do it with your family. Do it with your best friend. Do it with somebody, because that builds faith. So even if like you didn't go through it, but I tell you about it, it builds your faith.
It does.
And that's special.
I mean, and that's the thing when you're walking with God and you're going through times and you're going through, like your husband said earlier in the podcast, was a season. You have different seasons of life, but you have to walk through it.
Yeah.
And when you turn around and you see how God's hand was there, you only get that through reflection. You can't just go through life and not look back and see it, because you're not going to see God's hand sometimes. I mean, we just said it last week about God's in the details, and he cares about the details. But sometimes when things are so hard and you're just in the mud, you have to look back. And just like I always say, also, even on the health side, sometimes you end up somewhere that you didn't know how you got there. And I don't want people to go a year, 2 years, 3 years, and look back and say, how did I get here? Because if you're not reflecting, it's not good.
That's so true. I think that's one of the biggest things, like, that we've both seen this year, is that God's in the details. He knows what you need, even when you don't know that you need it. And that he just gives us blessings that we didn't know we needed, you know? And so, like I said, we want to invite you as we go into the new year to reflect and to close the year well. You know, I heard somebody say this in a sermon recently, and I think it's so true, that like God intended us to have a start and a finish, a start and a finish to the week, a start and a finish to the day, a start and a finish to the year, because it is a time to plan and build, and it's a time to reflect. I mean, Ecclesiastes, there's a time for everything, you know. For everything. So I think that's what we're doing today. This is just reflection.
Yes, it is, and I appreciate that, because, we both appreciate that, because we're both goal oriented. And we like to look back and see, what have we accomplished? What have we done? What can we do better? What are we building? And I mean, it's always a time of growth, because neither of us want to be stagnant.
Right. I said that this morning when we had coffee, that, like, you know, I'm willing to be like, what's the self-check, Bethany? Like, how can we be better?
Exactly.
So we're going to first talk about running, because that's my favorite. We have ran a lot of miles this year.
We have a lot.
It's been fun.
You more than me.
Yeah. So, and we've really talked to you all about all the big races that we've done. But I started the year by running Houston, and that was like pretty gritty, because it was so cold, like 25 mile per hour headwind. So started with Houston. And you know what's funny? At the beginning of 2025, I thought about this today. I never would have thought that I would have qualified for Boston this year. Like, that really did not that wasn't even on my radar, that it was feasible in this time last year, which is wild.
Interesting, because you went to Grandma's with that intention.
Yeah, it really changed between like Houston and like
Fresh 15?
Fresh 15. I mean, I don't know why, but we did Fresh 15. Yeah.
That's when we became friends.
Yes, we became friends. Actually, so I did Houston, then we did Fresh 15. We love Fresh 15 because it's local, and like there's just something about the local race, you know, so it's a great race. And Christy was not even a runner at Fresh 15. Like, she trained for it, and you were proud of how you did. She even like got a tier.
I did got a tier.
She got a tier doing Fresh 15.
At the beginning, Mandisa song Overcomer was the first one, and I remember because you go up the hill and you see the fire trucks and the American flag.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, my husband just told me this the other day that he's interested in being a runner, but he's just, you know, scared to do it. And I have been at so many races and I was not a runner. And I almost craved it. And I was like, why am I not doing this? And
because
to finally be there, to finally do that. And it just hit me. And then it hit me at the finish line because I got my goal.
Well, and you know, it's funny, on our Saturday runs, and this is one of those things where I'm like, this is like the Lord's goodness. I've known Christy for years. And when I run at this specific place, it's like the last 0.25 miles of, maybe even like 1/10 of a mile of Fresh 15. It's up the hill. And Christy always stood there as a CG trainer, and she like knew my name, and you would be cheering, and that's a hard place in the race. And I ran by that 4 times this morning. But anyway, when I run right there, I'm like, God's goodness, like I never knew Christy Dunton would be my best friend. It's just crazy.
I know.
Like the Lord can do exceeding abundant beyond what we ask or imagine. But anyway, so we did Fresh. And then if you remember our podcast, we did Grandma's. That's when I roped Christy in to a half. That was your first half.
She wrote me in because I was supposed to be training not until the one we did in Bar Harbor.
Yeah, because we had planned, we forgot New York. So because I got picked for the lottery for the New York half, and I didn't have anybody to go with me because we decided we weren't going to take our whole family, and I just wasn't going to go. And Christy, and I ended up kind of through a series of events. I was like, do you want to go with me? And so she went just really as security.
I was security detail, guys.
That was our first trip for this year.
It's in March.
And so when we were there, we planned for Bar Harbor. We planned that we were going to go on a trip with our husbands. And so that's what you thought your first half was going to be.
Yes, I did. And after the Fresh 15, I remember talking to you because I was using an app for my training, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to stop because I had a half marathon that I've never ran, and I just finished 9 miles. And so I was like, well, I'm going to just train for a half marathon, and I'll do it like in June or July. And Bethany had a grandiose idea. She was probably on a website, and she's like, look, there's a ticket. There's a bid. There's a bid.
Like, I need you to commit right now.
Right now.
And actually, I was like, oh, I already signed you up. You're good.
Yes.
So she's like, I was going to do it in July. And I was like, you can do it in June.
Yeah,
It'll be fine. So we did Grandma's. The goal was to qualify for Boston. I did not qualify for Boston. We learned so much.
The goal was to finish without stopping. Did not succeed at that one.
Yeah.
But, we both learned lessons in that race.
We learned so much, and our friendship grew a lot on that trip.
Yes.
And like our friendship and our like collaboration in business, a lot during that trip.
Yeah, a lot was born on that trip.
Yeah, and so don't you think too that one thing we learned was like, and we know this, but it came out a lot in that trip. Like, you don't train for race day on race day. That you train in the quiet, unseen moments, and we can transfer that to any area of life.
Yep.
Like what you do in the day-to-day, your day-to-day mundane, is what makes you who you are.
Everything.
Yeah.
The decisions you make, the integrity, the loyalty, everything is done on your own most of the time.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who you are and the identity that you've chosen for yourself in your life, and your commitment to being faithful to God and to friendship and to people and your job, everything.
Yeah, because we can translate it back to that race. We were ready for that race.
We were ready.
Like all my training runs, my pace had been like spot on. I thought about that this morning when I ran 18 miles. I was like, my pace was like 7:10. It was good. And it didn't turn out that day.
Yep.
But we also learned, expectation versus reality, and how you you learn from it, and then you set a new goal and you keep moving. So yeah. And really, like, as far as the day-to-day grind of running, like, what does that look like for you? Like the quiet, unseen moments, like it's the Saturday mornings, right? Like it's the early mornings.
It is. It's early mornings, and and it was. I shared with you that my husband Lance sent me a text message the other day, and he asked me about when does running not suck, and I said, well, it pretty much it's always hard, but it's getting to that finish line, and you know that you won the battle.
Yeah.
It's like every day you have to win a battle.
Yeah, and that's
of
life.
the mind.
I ran 18 miles this morning because we're about to run Houston in 3 weeks. And I told my husband, because my body didn't feel good, it was a hard run. And at mile 4 this morning, I was like, okay, here's my pivot. My goal is to log the miles today. My pace is not going to be marathon pace, but I'm going to log the miles. And I told him, I said, I wanted to quit, but I knew how I would feel if I only ran 16. That I would be in like a mental struggle until next week.
You would be.
And it wasn't worth it.
Yep.
So it's like, just log the miles, do it. But that's life. Like the days you don't want to go to work, the days that marriage feels hard or whatever, that you have to dig in.
Yes.
And you have to go back to your why. And, Christy and I do this with, we do this with races, but we do it even with runs. You have to visualize yourself at the finish line. Actually, this morning I was visualizing myself drinking coffee with you.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that this morning during my devotional at like 4 a.m. I'm getting ready to leave. And I was thinking, 2.5 hours, I'm going to have coffee with Bethany.
Yes, that's what keeps me going through that 18.
I had 8 this morning. And but just like you said, progress is not linear.
Yeah.
Everything, we have good days, we have bad days.
Yeah.
And just like we talked about DECA earlier in the previous podcast we gave you, I had a good race. I had a bad race, but you can't let that derail you.
Right.
You can't, Bethany's not going to come home and tell Ramsey like, okay, I give up. I'm done. I had a horrible day of racing, and it is our bodies just, we may have not slept as well or ate something or, it's anything.
Yeah. It's the consistency beats intensity every time.
Agree 100%. Agree 100%.
So those miles, like our race miles were good miles this year. So we did Grandma's, and then we threw in another race where Christy was security detail again because I had one last qualifier. And perfect example of like picking up because I was sad after Grandma's.
Yes.
Christy saw me cry a little bit. Anyway, I was sad, but then we went back. I had like 10 weeks and really like most people told me that they didn't think it was a very good idea.
I know.
And
she was
we
told
went back to Boston and did Beantown, and it was a great race.
It was a great race. And just like she said, she started off the year at Houston. And I've been her trainer, and we've been friends for years now. And I remember watching her, and I don't watch many people on races, but I was so concerned and I was so proud of her because the conditions were less than ideal. Unreal. You could have easily quit and no one would have judged you. No one.
Yeah.
Because 25-mile headwinds?
And it was like
20 degrees?
20 degrees.
Oh.
It was so bad.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
And I just saw her grit and determination in that race. And it does. I think about it often. I really do. Even when I want to quit, I'm thinking, if she did that, I can get through this.
Yeah.
And you do need those hard times to have that as an anchor to know that you can do hard things.
Yeah.
Because even, so she did the Houston, and then when she qualifies for Boston, it was drizzly. It wasn't as cold. I was in a parka. She was in shorts. It was
not drizzly. It was raining.
It was raining. I was in an umbrella the entire time. And she had to run loops in a state park. And she did it. And she was consistent. And it was a great race. And she qualified with an abundance of time to get her there.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
That was the highlight. And then we did Maine.
We did
in
bar.
Maine.
Yeah, that was a good race.
And that was a good race.
It was a
You were
very good
happy with
race.
how you did.
I was very happy with how I did.
Yeah. And then, I was just trying to have fun in Maine, but it was good.
Yeah.
I qualified again for the
You
next
did.
year.
You're ready for next year.
Yeah. And so we've ran a lot.
We've ran a lot.
Yeah, and we have big plans, which we'll talk about in January a little bit.
And I mean, well, we've also done 5Ks.
Yeah, we've done all the local stuff.
You did.
Oh, I did Marathon, Baylor Marathon.
Yes.
Which was a half that I was first place for Masters for old people.
Yeah, but then you did the firecracker.
Yeah.
And that was your first goal of getting a sub 20.
And so that was 4th of July, sub 20. And then my goal for Turkey Trot was sub 20, and I was like 18.
You got a new PR.
Yeah, I got a new PR, and you got a new PR.
I got a new PR.
Yes.
I mean, so we're doing a lot of
little
things.
Races.
I know,
because those are fun, and it's a different level of intensity.
It is.
Like we said when we were doing like our little shakeout at the Turkey Trot, we were running together. I was like, Christy, why do I feel so nervous here?
5K.
A 5K, but it's because we're high achievers, and so we had goals in our head, that are just different.
Yeah,
So we really encourage you. Like, goals are so important.
So important. So important. And just one thing that we want to remind you guys and for you to reflect on when you're listening to this podcast is December is not a throwaway month. And even if you're listening to this in June, a month is not a throwaway month. You can always look back, and we so encourage you to look back at your months. And you look at, and you want to ask yourself, what do I want to carry forward with me? And I call it like habits. What habits are sticking that I am doing now that is serving me well, serving my family well, serving my health well, serving all aspects of your life well. What do I need to release?
And that's so good. We talked about this a little bit this morning when we were drinking coffee. Like, all of us have different things that bother us or different things that we hold on to. And maybe you don't even realize that you're holding on to it.
Yep.
And those can still be like little things can become big things in your heart or your mind or relationships. And that's one reason like iron sharpens iron. And it's good to have somebody in your life that can just speak truth into you, because sometimes it's easier for somebody else to see.
Yeah.
But we are, sometimes we can be a little bit hard to live with or deal with. And Christy said this not long ago. She's like, but at least we recognize it and we're always trying to do better.
Yes.
Like always.
Yes.
So, but that's a challenge. I think you need people in your life, whether it's a friend or a pastor or your spouse that can know your heart and speak truth into it, but to be willing to be like, this is something I've held on to, then I don't need to hold on to anymore.
I mean, and a lot of people are scared to release things, and it could be responsibilities, it could be things that you are saying yes to that doesn't really belong in your world.
Bad habits, we see that all the time in work, and with our patients and clients. Like people don't want to release that food addiction or release just all kinds of things, a bad habit.
Or they're not willing to admit that they have that food addiction, or they have just that compulsiveness to do something that is not good.
Yeah.
And and I see it a lot as far as, because we've been saying the term, you have to be selfish to be selfless.
Right.
And I just know so many people that are going to put people in front of them, things in front of them, appointments in front of them, their job in front of their health, in front of things that they need to accomplish. And I love the book by Lisa Turker's, The Best Yes. But to know the best yes, you have to know what you are pursuing.
Yeah, you have to have
goals. Where's your path?
You have to have goals.
Yes.
And in the same way, I may have said this on a podcast, I've read Lisa's book, The Best Yes, and in business, after my first year, I said I was going to write a book called The Hard No. And the hard no is just as important as the best yes. It's the same thing, really, that some of that release is saying no. Maybe it's saying no to an obligation that is just not something that is oriented with your goals. It can be a good thing, but, so.
I agree.
Yeah.
And again, when you think about goals and you think about what you want to change and you think about maybe the new year or a new month or anything like that, fear can show up. Fear can show up before you get to the starting line, but you have to have courage. It shows up anyways. But you have to have faith in who you are. But to get to a starting line. That is always our goal, is to get people to whatever starting line it is that is going to just push you a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe get you outside of your comfort zone. I that is where growth happens.
Yeah.
And but you have to be courageous in order to take that first step. And I pray that our listeners, they have somebody to walk it through with them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the importance of that so much.
Yes.
But one thing I think about, just a little funny aside, about fear shows up before the start line. All these races that we've done where we've traveled together this year, you know, we go to bed early and we're not too dynamic at night, but Christy's recognized, like, I stall on race night. The night before the race, I'm like, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to do?
Like, I don't want to go to bed.
If I have to go to bed, like, I have to get up and run 26.2 in the morning, you know.
That was, okay, and that is true, because that was the race that, or the fitness vacation that we took, that I did not have to race.
Yeah.
Only she had to race.
Yeah.
And so I was great. I was fine. I'm just supporting her and just being there for her and just cheering her on and everything. And I noticed it, because when we were at DECA and I had to do DECA Fit by myself, and she was just watching me.
Role reversal.
I was like, I wish you were doing this, because this is not fun.
It's not fun to be the only person running.
Yeah, so all eyes on you.
Yeah.
And
it's just funny, but yeah, fear's always been a struggle in my life. So but having somebody to walk alongside that's like, hey, you got to remember your goals. It's kind of like your stone. You got to go back. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And so whatever that is in life, that's true. And then, not to compare, because comparison steals joy. It impacts performance, and then to trust the process, because like all these races that we've gotten there too, like you can self-destruct in your mind, but you have to trust the process that you've trained.
Yeah.
And that can go into anything, that like the daily training is our quiet time in the morning, that's when we hide God's word in our hearts, because that's your armor.
Yeah.
That's your armor. And then some goals require patience. Like you may work on something for a long time and not see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
So, but finishing strong matters more than starting fast. And so that's so powerful for December,
Yes. Finishing strong.
Yeah. And then, friendship, a lot of friendship this year.
Yeah. We are constantly, I guess, because we're both in that reflection mode right now of December and looking at our goals and looking at what's accomplished in this year. And it's just been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride for Bethany and I. And because it is new, this friendship and this relationship and these miles together and these races together, it is, it's God ordained, 100%. It is God's hand on this relationship, because it was a compliment. One of my campers at my 8:30 class that I train outdoor fitness said the other day, because they were listening to a podcast of you and I, and they were like, you guys are like perfect for each other.
Yeah.
Like you guys we are so much alike. And we are both driven and goal oriented, and we can do hard things by ourselves.
Yeah.
But we are so strong in other aspects that we pick each other up where we are weak.
Yep.
And yeah, it's amazing of where God's hand, just like I said, you have to look back and see where God's hand has been in your life. And it's such a blessing.
But and we encourage you to have some kind of accountability in your life, because we hold each other accountable to goals.
Yep.
And I would talk smack to you if you were doing the wrong thing. But
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
So, but yeah, just that people, like habits are anchors, like we talked about in mindset, but people are anchors. God's your main anchor.
Yeah.
And so it's such a time to just, like you said, realign.
Realign.
Yeah.
Amen. And having someone, or hopefully you have a spouse or a significant other or a best friend that you can just share those goals with, because I do believe in speaking them does make a difference. And one thing I brought with me, if you're watching this on video, is I am so proud of myself, because I started in January writing down during my devotional time that I sit at my desk every morning and I spend time with God, and I started writing down goals in January. And if you know me, I'm a great starter. I am an amazing starter. I'm not a great finisher of some things. Like I have some great ideas, and say this is something that you help me with, is finish them then. And I actually wrote down every month goals that I wanted to accomplish from January to December, and I put it on my refrigerator. And I love this because I am a visual person, and I like to be able to look back and see what I did and what stuck and what I tried to build. And it's also just to see God's goodness.
In some ways, that's your stones. Like
this is my stone.
That's the remembrance of goals and what the Lord took you through and His faithfulness.
And I always encourage people to like do something at least every month. I like to think on a monthly basis because it's sometimes it's more attainable. Now we have goals for the year, and we have goals coming up for races and things like that. But like you can just get more minute in a monthly goal focus. And I always want to think about, my spiritual, my faithfulness, my business, maybe finances, my relationship with my husband, with friendship. And there's so many different aspects of my life. And I'm like, okay, what is lacking?
Yeah.
And if you've ever done a goal planning, like a workshop or something, I forget what it is, but there's different areas of your life, and some are thriving and some are lacking. And so when I think about my goals at the end of every month for the following month, I'm like, where am I struggling? Where am I struggling that needs the attention?
Right. That's so good. So we have learned some business lessons from the year. So as our friendship has grown, I have a business thriving, and there's always room for growth, and we are growing right now. We're in the process of building a new building, and our staff is like doubled this year, so that's been huge. But then through like our friendship growing, we have the same mission to help people,
100%,
and like the same heart to help people, and so we definitely have grown in our collaboration with that, and that's special, and that's one thing. I think it was Decca that we decided that, or no, maybe it was Las Vegas that one of our words, which we're going to talk about, is build, because like we are building it, but ultimately the Lord's building it.
Yeah.
And so we've learned some business lessons, and business is like running, that you have to regroup when things don't work out the way, because I'm a big visionary, and then Christy's kind of like, how are we going to implement it?
Yeah.
So
I'm the action person. And it is. And it's so good. I mean, to walk through life with Bethany and to have the same mindset, to have the same goals, to have the same moral, to have the same integrity that we both have.
Yeah.
And it's rare to find that.
It is.
It truly is, to have someone that, I mean, we really can travel so well together because we are sometimes the same person. Like we think a lot alike.
Yeah.
And that is where our passion has come into work, is that she is impacting lives. I'm impacting lives. She's impacting through medicine. I'm impacting through fitness, but she is an athlete. I am an athlete. I mean, it is this merging of our faithfulness and our purpose. Is just walking, and we're just walking this path together, and together we can impact more.
Which is really special, because literally like to March of 2023, I text Christy and said, hey, I would love to talk to you about my business, because you would be like the dream team. And then 2 years went by.
2 years.
But that also speaks to just like God's timing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know.
Because I knew we were like-minded back then.
Yes.
And I loved like your testimony and those things. So this is a great thing that kind of goes with that, is that alignment means more than speed. So like God's timing is everything, and we have an aligned mission. And so, but the timing of how things are going to work out, we're dealing with that right now with things that we're building.
We are.
With business. And so
it's just being faithful. And one thing that we have said, and our word for 2025, which we'll carry on in 2026, is obey.
Yeah.
And just like every morning, we are both in God's word and we are listening to what he is telling us to do. And we just want to hear that so bad. We both are just yearning for that relationship with God so that we can hear to see where his path is. Because since we have been obedient, we see his hand in so many things.
Yeah.
And if we haven't been, we would not, this would not be here.
That's true. And when we were kind of regrouping on our last trip about how God's been faithful in our goals in our life in 2025, we have had areas, we kind of coined it like in our friendship, we kind of coined it as times where we've had radical obedience. And for me, when I left a big health system and opened Grace Wellness, like it was radical obedience because it was big. Chrissy had something that was like radical obedience this year.
Yeah.
And those are the things that sometimes they don't make sense to the world.
Nothing. Oh, I know.
And but such faith building, because even like 6 months after this radical obedience, the Lord's blessed it. You know, and
100%.
and at the time when you make a decision and you're like, I know that I hear God's voice. I don't know how this is going to end, but I'm going to take the next best step to obey. And God honors that. He honors radical obedience. And so we just want to remember, like, okay, what's it like to hear God's voice, hear the Holy Spirit talk to us, and then go back and go, okay, Lord, like I see why you asked me to do that.
Yeah. I mean, and that it would be sad to, because the moment that I had that radical obedience, I know it. And as somebody that's going to look back, I would be saddened to think that I should have done something. Okay, so for example, you know, I do believe the Holy Spirit talks to us a lot. And I believe that we are to be givers and to be helping people that are less in need. And I just remember, I can thinking back when I think about that is like there was this person that delivered groceries to me and he was an older gentleman. And it has convicted me that I did not do more.
Yes.
And I don't want that.
Right.
When I look back, I do not want to have those regretful decisions that was either out of greed or fear or anything.
Yeah.
Besides faith in taking that step.
Yeah.
And doing it.
That's so good. Whether it's praying with the person
that
you feel
yes.
that you need to pray with, or giving to the person.
I know.
You know.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know, those whispers. Those God winks and those whispers.
So that's a good lesson to all. It's a good lesson to tell our kids to remember. So we've talked in really a lot of our podcasts this year about anchors and how you need anchors in your life. And, you know, what a good time December is to identify those. You know, what's your main anchor? Is your main anchor what it should be? And those can be daily, like how we talked about them in our routine podcast about how our daily anchors are that we get up early and we have quiet time and we exercise and we prioritize nutrition. But you know, your anchor, you should be anchored in the Lord, but then do you have some people in your life that they're your anchor, they're your accountability? And that is big.
Yeah. What are your habits? What are your routines that anchors you into who you are wanting to be? And we talk a lot about identity. And I identify myself as a child of God. And so that anchor makes me make better decisions in those quiet moments, on those times when I am by myself. And anchors are very important. And you have to look back at your life to see what your anchors are. And also you have to make sure, just again, to recap, but are they serving you? Are they things that do need to be changed? You know?
Because just how we're saying, like, we're like the same people when we travel. You may have some garbage in your life that needs to go out, that needs to be released from, that, you know, and so is what you're putting in, whether it's friendships, relationships, what you fill your time with. Does it have the right goal at the end?
I agree.
Is it what Is it what you want to align with?
Yeah.
So that's pretty convicting, in a lot of areas.
I mean, yeah, when you establish your anchors and you look at, I mean, and just like, because we've done a lot of traveling the last 2 weeks, I mean, we were excited to get back to just the day-to-day grind, and it is monotony, and we can thrive in monotony because we're serving people and we're serving the Lord in that, but we have our anchors that secure us, and when we look at those anchors and constantly looking back, they're serving us well, and they're serving our family well, and they're serving God.
Yeah.
And it's not taking away from people, and it's taking care of the temple that He created. It's filling our mind with His Word, and it's working hard and impacting lives.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
That's it. That's what we do all day, every day.
That's right. We're thankful to do it too.
Yes.
After Vegas, we're thankful. So, we just want to encourage you to close the year well, and take time with the people that are close to you and reflect. And remember how God's been faithful and what He's done and who He's brought into your life to sharpen you and to release what no longer serves your calling.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. What is your calling, and what in your life does not serve that calling?
I agree. And you really need to celebrate growth, not just the outcomes of what you want to happen. And it's almost like when I'm working with clients, and I have a lot of clients that will tell me some non-scale victories, because I do work with a lot of clients that their goal is weight loss. And you've got to have those small wins throughout the day, that you are not just focused on that big thing, because it can be mundane and monotonous, and you've got to be able to make those decisions to get you there. So always celebrate your success in staying true to what you want to, where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that it takes one step at a time, one decision at a time, and you will get there. You just have to have patience.
Yeah. So realign your goals with your faith, your health, be consistent, have a clear vision, and, deep friendship. That's what we're carrying into the new year.
We are.
Like, we're celebrating the Lord's faithfulness. We're celebrating business growth and what that looks like to help people. And thankful that God puts people in your life to be those anchors. And so, we hope you all have such a good holiday season, Christmas season. It's a good time to reflect and, truly challenge you in all the hustle to spend time with people that you love, to set goals, to have grit, but then to have grace too, and have grace for yourself and have grace for others. So we're excited. We have all of 2026 mapped out.
We do.
Grit and grace.
We do.
Yeah. So
we do travel a lot, but when we travel and we talk a lot about goals. We talk about what's been happening. We reflect and we think about the future, and we got a lot done in Las Vegas.
We did. This is one little funny, and then we'll be serious and be done. But maybe our third night in Vegas, I think after Christy was allergic to Vegas that whole day, she was kind of done. And we were laying in our separate beds, about to getting ready for bed. And I was like, okay, let's talk about goals. And she was like, no, stop.
We did that the night before.
She was like,
we went deep.
We can talk, but we cannot talk about anything serious. Yeah. I was ready to go deep.
It was 7:00, guys. It was bedtime. We usually go to bed early. She just got a little second wind at nighttime.
What are we going to talk about? So
I'm sniffling, sneezing, and allergic.
Yeah, but thank you all for following us, and really we pray that you have such a good holiday season and a time of reflection, and to stay anchored in the Lord and what's true to who you want to be.
Yeah, guys, and we just want to thank you for walking this year with us, and the podcasts that you have listened to in the past, and I pray that you just share them with other people. We hope that our message is clear, and we want to hear from you, and choosing to pursue a life. We want to marked by both grit and grace. We chose this name intentionally, And you got to have a little bit of grit, and you got to have a little bit of grace to go through this life. So thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to us. And we would love for you to subscribe on all the podcast platforms. And
Merry Christmas.
Merry
and
Christmas.
We'll see you in 2026.
Bye, guys.
Bye.